Great day, great day, great day, great day. What's happening? My name is Rich Wall Street Williams, and with the Motivate Coaching, with the motivating, with Momentum Consulting Services at Momentum, we believe that education plus application makes all the difference in the world. I'm so grateful that you've carved up time this afternoon to have a quick conversation of what I refer to as power conversations. What is power conversation? Power conversations are conversations that sales professional can have that leads to results. Now, the word power is an acronym, and I'll get to that shortly. But here's the reason why I believe it's important, it's necessary that as sales professionals, that we have these power conversations. Most realtors fail in sales, not because they lack leads, but because they lack power in their conversations. So today I'm going to show you how to have power in those conversations, how to transform every conversation into a deal making opportunity. So a little bit about myself for those who don't know who I am. I'm Rich Wall Street Williams. I got the nickname Wall Street years ago when I was working for a company downtown Bethesda. I walked into the office, and the team that I was with said, "Hey, Rich, you walk like you have money. We're going to call you Wall Street." And I said, "No, you're going to call me Rich." And they just kept calling me Wall Street. That was almost 18 years ago. And so the name just stuck. And so it's funny. When I go to Starbucks, I get a cup of coffee. I typically tell the person my name is Wall Street. They put Wall Street on a cup. And then, at Starbucks, they call your name. And I go pick up my cup of coffee, and it never fails, or almost always happens, I should say. Someone's going to come up to me, Wall Street, what a name. And then it sparks a conversation. Right. And so I'm telling you that because of where we are going as it relates to having these power conversations. But here's the things I like to do first. I like to do what I call mind map. Mind mapping, simply framing our minds for where we want to go. And so here's the first thought as it relates to framing our mind, in terms of where to go. I want you to have the mindset, friend, that you are the CEO of a multi-million-dollar real estate company. Now, listen, I realize that realtors, sales professionals, from beginner to advanced, are going to be seeing this training at some point later in time. But I'm talking now specifically to if you're new in real estate and you're just starting out. It doesn't matter to me if you haven't even closed the deal yet, because your mindset and your long-term success, ladies and gentlemen, it is vital. It reminds me of a story where a agent runs into his broker's office, and he said, "I need a raise. I need a higher split on my commission." And he said, "Because other companies are after me." The broker sat up in her chair, and she said, "What other companies?" He said, "The light company, the electric company, the car company, they're after me." So anyways, I don't know. It was funny to me when I read it. So these power conversations, ladies and gentlemen, these are, again, conversations that we're having, but you got to start your conversation with the right mindset. You have to tell yourself that you are the CEO of a multi-million-dollar real estate company. Yeah, why don't you let's practice on that right now. Just say this out loud, write it on a piece of paper. I am the CEO of a multi-million-dollar real estate company. Yes, friend, you are the CEO of a multi-million-dollar real estate company. As I travel and I do training and I connect with young or new realtors, and it just so happens that this season that I'm in, as it relates to coaching and business development, I'm passionate about connecting with realtors who have less than 3 years of experience, or if you're a real estate professional and you've closed less than 5 transactions in the past 12 months, then you're the person that I want to connect with. You're the person that I want to have this conversation with. So you're the CEO of a multi-million-dollar real estate company. Here's another mindset. We're just mapping our mind before I get to the power conversation, just mapping our minds, brief conversation here. You, friend, have no competition. You don't have any competition. Okay, let me back up. Mindset number 1, you're the CEO of a multi-million-dollar real estate company. Mindset number 2, you have no competition. I'm leading in for the dramatic effect. You don't have any competition. Think about this. Does your competition have access to the internet? Say yes. Does your competition have access to social media? Say yes. Does your competition have access to email campaigns? Say yes, say yes, say yes. So your competition in your marketplace, they have access to the same tools, same services. So how do you beat someone that have access to the same tools, resources, etc., that you have access to? I tell you how you beat them. You stop focusing in on beating them and you focus on how can I outperform them. Friend, if you and I can just get 1% better every day, if every day when we came into the office, as we approach the marketplace, if we have the mindset that I'm going to be 1% better today, I'm telling you, over time, you will see measurable results in your business. I got I call it the run a play strategy that I do in some of the short-term coaching meaning maybe it's only 4 or 6 weeks. And run the play is designed to do 3 things. Number 1 is to get measurable results in under 30 days. Measurable results mean contracts and closing. Because if you want to measure success in real estate, you want to measure success in sales, it's contracts and closing. Prospecting and marketing is great, but contract and closing, that's what's going to pay the bills. That's what's going to keep your broker excited. That's what's going to keep you motivated as it relates to affording you to live the life that you want to live. Mindset number 1, I'm the CEO of a multi-million-dollar real estate company. Mindset number 2 is I have no competition. Mindset number 3, someone out there is thinking of buying, selling real estate. They just don't know where I'm at. These are mindset, ladies and gentlemen. These are mindset. Someone out there is thinking about buying or selling real estate. And guess what, friend? They just don't know where I'm at. So we got to have the right mindset as it relates to where we are going in our success and our sales, right? And so this leads me to this power conversation. Power conversation. So we're going to have a power. This is what power is to me, right? This is the power conversation. The power conversation it's an acronym. It's an acronym. And the acronym is the P stands for, this is the CEO statements versus agent statements. Well, let me just pull that down and get back to what I wanted. So it's an acronym. Each letter stands for something as it relates to the power conversation, right? And so as we frame what we're doing and where we're going as it relates to this power conversation, each letter stands for something. The letter P stands for presence. Now you'll write these down. If I were taking notes, this is where I would start. The P stands for presence. Power conversation, POWER. P stands for presence. How do I have a power conversation? This is the power conversation framework. P stands for presence. Show up fully engaged. No multitasking, no distractions. Body language, tone, confidence. It all matters more than the script, right? And then how you're present, it builds instant trust on a listing appointment and or working with buyers. So in other words, I'm not having a conversation with you while I'm scrolling through my phone. Have you ever done that? Don't tell me. We don't want to know. Right? So you got to be present if you want to have a power conversation. The O stands for ownership. Power conversation, friend. Ownership. Own the conversation. Own the conversation. Don't let the client lead it aimlessly. I'm sure you've been on a listing appointment or you've been on an appointment working with buyers and you're having this selling conversation. What's a selling conversation? A selling conversation, it's a conversation that's leading to a signature. And so the buyer or the seller, they go all over the place. You're going that listing appointment and you think it's going to be a 45-minute listing appointment. And the next thing you know, you're there 2.5 hours and you've only spent 10 minutes talking about your marketing plan to get the house sold. What happened? You lost control of the conversation. And then on Run the Play coaching, we talk about how to maintain that control, how to comfortably navigate the conversation. right? Take responsibility for guiding buyers and sellers through the process. Take responsibility. Part of my past experience, I was a Keller Williams team leader. I did that for a couple of years, and that was where I focused and highlighted on having a process. I discovered that early on in my sales career, and as it relates to coaching and training and leading other sales professionals, that one of the reasons that there's burnout and or frustration in a selling industry. So whatever industry you're in right now, specifically, I'm talking about real estate. When there is burnout and or frustration, in many cases, this is just from my experience of doing this for 22 years, in my experience is because the professional did not have a process. The professional did not have a process. And subsequently, when you don't have a process, it's like traveling without a map, without a goal. It doesn't matter. Any road will take you there. Who wants to aimlessly travel without some sense of destination? And so frustration and burnout happens because we're having these conversations, but it's not guided. All right, let me just give you a quick 101 on how to have guided productive activities as it relates to avoiding frustration and burnout. It's the A's and O's of real estate. I call it the A's and O's of real estate. The A's and O's. What are the A's and O's? Activities and objectives. The A's and O's. Activity and objectives. Establish your objectives first, and then only do the activities that support them. There you go. I just settled your whole frustration conversation that you've been having with your broker or manager. We're aimlessly working with buyers and sellers, and we don't have a process. So new agent, get a process. And then funnel your sellers, funnel your buyers through your process. That's how you avoid frustration and burnout in real estate. And that's how you avoid not taking ownership or having those aimless conversations. You know, scripts shift you from order taker to trusted advisor. So you have to have some kind of script to guide the conversation. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about the power conversation. P, presence. O, ownership. Brings us to the W. W is why. Always uncover your client's why first before your sales proposal. Emotional drivers are greater than financial numbers. Emotional drivers are greater than financial numbers. What does that mean? When you connect with what's in a person's heart first and it's authentic, then you can connect with what's in their hand second. But if I don't connect with what's in your heart, what does that mean, Rich? That means I've got to ask discovery questions. I have to be a consultant during this transaction, during this business relationship. That means I'm doing 30% of the talking, 70% of the listening. If I'm doing 70% of the listening, then the buyer seller is responding to guided questions that I'm asking. But you got to uncover their why. Why is selling so important to you now? Right? So I'm uncovering their why. Why are you interested in buying a home right now? What's motivating you? What's putting you in the marketplace? Uncovering their why. The P in the power conversation is presence. The O is ownership. The W is why. And I love the E. The E is engage. Engagement is the tool that levers results in building relationship. Ask layered, open-ended question. Layered, open-ended question. Questions about why. Questions of what, where, when, how. Open-ended questions. Open-ended questions creates dialogue, not interrogation. So you can mirror match, you can pivot with purpose, but the thing is you want to engage them. Engagement, enthusiasm is connected to your energy. Engagement, enthusiasm is connected to your energy, my energy. What energy are you bringing to that appointment? What energy are you bringing to that conversation? What energy are you bringing to that individual's life? So that energy, that engagement is important. And finally, the R in how to have a power conversation when you're in a selling situation is results. Every conversation How many conversations did I say? I said every conversation must lead to the next step in the discussion. How to close without being pushy. Now that's an art. We uncovered that in the Run the Play coaching program. An example of CEO level statements, and that's what I wanted to show you earlier. I'm going to close with that because we're almost up on that 30-minute time slot that I set aside. See, these are just quick conversations that I'm having. It's not designed to take up all of your day. I do appreciate those of you spending time on the call, on this training with me. So we're going to look at this, how to have these type of conversation, right? And these are conversations that are, I call them CEO level versus agent level conversation. Here's a quick example. And if you want a copy of this, I'll be more than happy to send this out to you. Just comment in the comment section or say, send me the CEO level statement. I'll make sure I send it out to you. Or if you want a copy of this presentation, let me know. I'll send it out to you as well, because my desire, my heart is to help you succeed at a higher level. And if we don't get paid, then that's not the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing anyways. I'm doing it because I'm on a mission. I'm passionate and I'm excited. I'm passionate about getting people passionate and excited about things they cannot see. And I'm on a mission to connect with almost 1 million sales professional entrepreneurs and small business owners over the next 3 years. CEO level statements versus agent level statements. So agent level statements are like this. You see it on the screen. I'm waiting for my broker to give me more leads. Here's a CEO level statement. I create opportunities every day through my own prospecting systems. Right? CEOs don't wait. They build systems that generate consistent results. On negotiation, agent level, I'll see what the seller says and get back to you. I'll see what the seller says and get back to you. Here's a CEO level conversation based upon that response. Here's how we can position this offer to make sure it's the strongest on the table. Do you feel the difference? I'll see what the seller says versus here's how we can position this offer. See, friends, you have to demonstrate and communicate that you are a competent sales professional, that you are a competent sales professional. You got to demonstrate that. You have to demonstrate that when you're doing that. When you're having that conversation. I hope this is making sense, right? And so what about on these market shifts, agent level conversation? The market is slow right now, so I'm not closing much. Here's a CEO level conversation. Because the market shifted, I adjusted my strategy to focus on motivated buyers and motivated sellers. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Rich, well, shouldn't we be focused on motivated buyers and motivated sellers? And absolutely, you're correct. We should be focused on motivated sellers and motivated buyers. And the reality is we're not. You know, years ago when I got my real estate license, I got my license in 2002, and that was right before the bubble, right before the real estate market crashed. And back in those early 2000 days, you put a sign in the yard. By the time you drove back to the office, you had multiple offers on that property. And so it didn't take a lot of marketing skills. I didn't have to do, right? And now you do have to still prospect, but I'm just simply saying when you listed a property, you got multiple offers. And 85%, or maybe some cases a little higher, about 90% of my business is sellers. I work with for sale by owners, expired leads, and distressed properties. So 90% of my business is sellers. And so I got really good at working with sellers. But back in those early 2000 days, put a sign in the yard, multiple offers by the time you got back. There was a period a few years ago, at least in the DC market and the DC metro area where I am, that you got multiple offers and there were escalations. A friend of mine sold his house. He listed it at, I think, 875,000, I think is where he listed his house. He got an offer, full price offer. And in addition to that, so that the buyer won the bid, the buyer paid an additional $25,000 cash. So he listed it for $875,000 and he sold it for $900,000 because the buyer wanted that property. And that just goes back, that just tells you this. Here's what that taught me, and keep this in mind, that there are three factors that determine price besides you, the realtor. Number one, the marketplace. The market determines price. Number two, the appraiser. And number three, the buyer. Because if the appraiser says $875,000 is all that the bank is going to give you, but you want that property, the buyer wants that property, here's an additional $25,000 cash. Who determines price? The market, the appraisal, and the buyer. Okay. Any questions as we're going through this? Drop the questions down in the chat below, and I'll make sure that we'll get your questions answered. Right. So those 8 market shifted, and then client conversation. I'll show you homes, and hopefully one works. That doesn't sound very believable. A CEO level conversation based on your needs. I'll curate the top 3 properties that best fit your lifestyle and investment goals. See, we guide agents, leave it up to chance. CEO level agent, you guide with precision, while agents leave it up to chance. I'm really excited. I got another project that I'm working on. Actually, it's not a project, it's a book. I'm working on a book, and it is the CEO mindset. All right. And this CEO mindset is, and it's about 107 pages. I mean, it's the biggest book that I have out. I've published other books, but the other books I was 73 pages or ebooks, etc. But this one is going to be about 110 pages, 107 pages. And it's all about what I'm sharing with you now on a bigger level. Right. And so it's coming out soon, but this CEO mindset. But do you see the difference? This is what I'm passionate about for agents. You got to have the mindset that I'm the CEO of a multi-million-dollar business. And finally, business planning. Business planning. I just want to sell a few houses this year. That's agent level. CEO level. My business plan is to close 20 transactions, build a referral system, and hire an assistant to sell. CEOs set measurable goals and treat real estate like a business and not like a hobby. You know, I'll share this and then I'll close. According to the National Association of Realtors, about 80% of realtors quit or fail in real estate during their first year, and in some cases sooner. And in the years that I've been doing this, what I've found to be the number one reason why agents fail is that they do not have a system. They treat real estate like a hobby and not like a business. As a CEO, you're responsible for the mission, the vision, and the purpose. As a CEO, you provide the MVP, the mission, right? The vision and the purpose. That's what you provide. You also determine the UVP, the unique value proposition. So I hope this made sense, friend. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I'm Rich Williams from Momentum Consulting. And Momentum Consulting, we believe that education plus application makes all the difference in the world. I'll see you soon. Let's keep going.